Hello, I'm Francis Ford Coppola. I was about 27 or 28 when I was given the job to write a screenplay for this movie. I remember thinking, well, this is going to be an interesting challenge because many people felt that General Patton was, a kind of right-wing brute who had slapped a soldier and called him a coward and went around with two pearl-handled revolvers on his hips and was the worst of what we Americans should be. And then another group felt that Patton was a hero, a very effective general for World War II. So I said, I have to make a film now that both sides of the coin will have to be interested in it. I remember taking every book written on the subject, and I began to put little cards of every incident that I found interesting and try to kind of take out of all of this research what the essence was. And for me, what was the most important, interesting fact was Patton, as a kind of Southern gentleman, was literary. He had read history. He had a sense for this poetic metaphor of the idea that perhaps he had lived in other times, that when there had been a battle in ancient times, he had been there. And I seized upon that as a possible concept that would make him very interesting and therefore make his story be acceptable to both the liberals, who might say, well, he was just a brute and a right-wing military hawk, and also to the right-wing people who would say, well, but he was a great general, which no doubt he was. My screenplay begins, people say, 10 hut, and you hear thousands of boots, and I just had Patton make a speech right to the audience, as though the audience were his men. And this was very odd for its time, and that famous speech that George C. Scott gives is really mostly Patton's words, but from 5 or 6 different speeches. At any rate, the project just kind of was dead. I was let go sort of in failure, and specifically I was let go because of the opening sequence. They told me they found the script very odd, and this opening sequence, which just begins with Patton in front of a big flag talking to the audience, was totally strange. Now, all you young people, bear note that the things that you are fired for are often the things in later life that you are celebrated and given lifetime achievements for. So don't worry when you find your ideas are put down. It's just because they're new or they're against the grain. And indeed, I was fired from Patton for the opening scene of the picture, which you all know and which has become a famous scene. So, a word to the wise. Years later, I was in San Francisco doing American Zoetrope, and in fact, we were so poor, we had brought a few of these new type German editing machines. 20th Century Fox rented our Steenbeck, and we had word that it didn't work, and that could we send a repairman to fix it? Well, we didn't have a repairman, so I went with my little tool case down to the studio, and I looked at the Steenbeck prepared to fix it, but they didn't know how to thread it. So I showed them how to thread it and say, look, you do this and that, and I changed the bulb, and I took my thing. And then as I showed it, I saw all these military scenes, and I said, hey, this is a war movie? They said, yeah, this is Patton. And I said, really? And I packed up my bag, and I said, I wrote that script, and I left. Years later, of course, Patton came out, the script very much as I had written it, and I was then working on The Godfather, and I was really almost about to get fired from The Godfather. And it turned out that Patton won Best Screenplay, and I won an Oscar. And, I really think that to this day, that had I not won that Oscar, for sure I would have been fired off The Godfather, because it looked that way. And, it's a big thing to win an Oscar. And maybe they would be embarrassed to fire me after such a nice thing. So in a funny way, I think that my work on Patton, which was many years before, as I said, when I was about 26, 27, saved me and enabled me to make The Godfather not get fired. And so in life, all these things are connected. So I hope you enjoy very much this version of Patton. I hope that you enjoy my memories and whatever insights I may give you. Bye-bye. Hello, I'm Francis Ford Coppola. I was about 27 or